please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Yes, I took the time on that one. Today we're going to start the recent announcement of the rules for Jake Paul versus Iron Mike Tyson. Now on the face of it, when I heard about this fight, my first thought was, oh, it's a guy in his 20s fighting a guy who has just turned 60? There's a fairly sizable age gap, but Mike Tyson does have a reputation if the fight is short enough. Mike Tyson has a legacy, but as is often the case with Jake Paul, he is fighting people, excluding Tommy Fury, who are considerably older or out of league because they're from different sports. Mike Tyson presents a different kind of challenge. Last year or the year before, I can't remember which, Mike Tyson had an exhibition match with Roy Jones Jr. That was fun to watch, as an exhibition. Seeing Mike Tyson get in the ring for a professional and sanctioned bout is interesting. The rules are as follows. The bout is an officially sanctioned professional fight. Already off to a cracking start then. The result will be recorded on official records. Interesting, because a professional fight isn't on records. Okay. The second is a tad redundant, but you can be pedantic if you want about it. Knockouts are permitted. Mike Tyson has one of the highest knockout percentages in history. There aren't many above him. One of the more notable above him would be Deontay Wilder. And to be honest, I'm glad knockouts are permitted, because I want to see a knockout. Of course, I do not want it to be Mike Tyson that gets knocked out. Jake Paul's mouth wrote far too many checks during his career, and the receipt should come in the form of his head and the canvas meeting for a good 8-hour stint. The next rule, though, baffles me. The fight will consist of 8 2-minute rounds. 2 minutes is not a full round. 3 is a full round. 2/3 of a round is not good enough. To me, that is exhibition quality. 8 3-minute rounds? Sure, I'd be okay with that. Sure, that makes some sense, older gentleman and not professional in the slightest. That's two separate people, not me calling Mike Tyson not professional. Don't be silly. Fighters will wear 14-ounce gloves. Why? Are you trying to make sure that Mike Tyson can't knock out Jake Paul? 14-ounce gloves are ridiculous. I know that during Mike Tyson's professional career, he sparred with 18-ounce gloves. The heavier the better, really, because then when the fight came along and he wore lighter gloves, his arms were stronger. It made sense. They also offer a significant amount of protection for the hand. Typically, fighters wear 10-ounce gloves. The reason why is because 10-ounce gloves are around the right area, really. I can understand why you'd want heavier. I fully can, especially if you're doing shorter rounds that aren't full rounds. The final one seemed like a no-brainer as well, but I'm kind of understanding why this had to be inserted. No headgear will be used. If there was headgear being used in a professional bout, it is not a professional bout. It is at best an amateur bout, which is exactly what Jake Paul is. There is a chance Jake Paul will survive this and win on points. If the fight ends early, I'm inclined to believe because of his heavier hands, Mike Tyson will knock Jake Paul out. Although, him being made to use 14-ounce gloves is a strange one. And if anyone wonders if there's a big difference between 10, 12, 14 and 16-ounce gloves, there is a sizable difference in your arms, I can promise you that. They protect your hands greater, of course, the more you have, yes, fine. But you are carrying extra weight on your arms. That does get you a bit more tired as the fight progresses. In this, these rules mostly seem stupid. The fight's not till July, and I doubt these rules are going to change. I am, however, intrigued to see how anyone is going to, while promoting this, justify paying, knowing they're only going to get at most 16 minutes. I'm going to, over the course of this video with main subjects, insert random honourable mentions. The first is the fact that Warhammer 40,000 is still trending. So I'm going to go with The Bugle Daily because they've been tweeting out some pictures that have amused me. For example, if you dislike this updated Warhammer design, then you are a bigot. Retweeting it with, this Warhammer post got swarmed by pronoun weirdos and had community notes that it was not real and was AI. So I must warn people in advance, this is also not a real Warhammer image. In the context of AI, it is doing a considerable amount of interesting, I would say damage, but that doesn't necessarily mean negative in this context, to the egos of those who are championing certain ideas that may not resonate so well with the boomers that are being pushed out. Of course, these images aren't real. Everything within it is science fiction. People who got offended by these pictures need to grow up a little bit. It's just a fucking joke, bruh.
Nah, doesn't seem worth the time, Thomas. He knows he's lying. I know he's lying. And anyone stupid enough to believe it is not going to listen to me lie. I have better things to do. Tom Darker, no one should be willing to give up their integrity because they have feelings to hurt you.
I don't think he liked the turkey Tom dunked on him. So next we're going to go to an article from the Daily Mail, a highly respected and totally unbiased news outlet, concerning the truth about the Liver King. They reached out to a bunch of top dietitians to analyze his diet of raw testicles. His diet, to me, is one of those really strange diets where if he just cooked the food, he'd get more out of it. He wouldn't need to eat so much of it to promote his brand. His estimated net worth is £250 million from this primal ancestral living nonsense where we now know he's jacked up on roids. So really, he's a fraud. A midget that also smells quite badly. We know that from Logan Paul, which isn't a surprise when all you do is eat raw meat and offal and brag about it. Liver King claims that you need to eat liver every day because liver is king. It provides crucial nourishment missing in modernity, like real bioavailable vitamin A. However, and this is something he doesn't mention, and that is, while the liver does give you a lot of vitamin A, you can in fact suffer from vitamin A toxicity if you eat too much. That is from Gunter Kölner, Professor of Nutrition and Food Science at the University of Reading. And this is because, unlike other vitamins, vitamin A is stored in the liver. Whereas with vitamin C, you pee it out, vitamin A is not the same. So the recommended daily intake for vitamin A is 600 to 700 micrograms. Just to give you some perspective here, a single ounce of beef liver contains 2100. If you consume over a sustained period over 8,000 micrograms of vitamin A, you will absolutely do a number on yourself. That is, for those who don't know, 4 ounces of liver on a regular. The next claim is that cavemen ate meat raw, so we should too. Stanley, unpronounceable last name, Emeritus Professor of Human Ecology at the University of Oxford, said that Liver King is right about the origins of our diet. However, experts have pointed out that some meats are more likely to contain dangerous bacteria. For example, it is well known pork contains certain parasites such as roundworm and tapeworm. Chicken can contain Campylobacter. Heat renders these pathogens harmless, which is why we learnt, adapted and improved, because humans didn't live as long as we now do, because it turns out we learnt the lessons of the old. It has been proven cooking extends human life expectancy, as we are less likely to get nasty diseases. Liver King has played a rather risky game for some time. Another claim from Liver King: cholesterol-rich organs or glands give us the vital nourishment that we need. Our early ancestors ate it, modern-day primitive culture tribes do. They don't have chronic disease that includes heart disease. The professor earlier mentioned with the unpronounceable last name says that Liver King is right to suggest that eating a high cholesterol diet doesn't necessarily translate into having high cholesterol. But he does point out that while Liver King is quite lucky for genetic reasons to not be affected by higher cholesterol, this would overload the average oik. And there have been studies conducted at Oxford University linking eating red meat and processed meat to an increased risk of heart disease. Liver King also suggests eating eggshells and eggs raw, after a workout of course. The risk here is, it actually can cause a biotin deficiency. Biotin is what some people take as a supplement to help with hair loss. It is typically associated with alopecia, dermatitis, and developmental delay in children. This is because the antimicrobial protein avidin that is present in raw eggs tightly binds biotin, known as vitamin B7, and prevents it from being absorbed by humans. The last claim of note: Liver King has suggested ditching processed food and eating natural. The problem with what he suggests when it comes to eating natural is he doesn't recommend eating vegetables or carbohydrates. I'm going to quote the emeritus professor on this one. Our ancestors ate many different kinds of diets. To pick on a particularly high meat intake diet from one particular period in our evolutionary history is misrepresenting the past. We have evolved to eat a diversity of foods, many different things, and we should rejoice in that possibility while also remembering that some foods are healthier than others. This can all be reduced down to, there are aspects of this where he is correct, but because of the extreme path he treads to go down that route, it is not a recommended path one should consider going. If you want to live to you're like 34, 35, go knucking futs. Personally, I would rather not risk a B7 deficiency, a vitamin A toxicity problem, my liver failing because of it. I'd rather not risk hair loss. I'd rather not risk having a tapeworm. And I don't want to eat eggs raw. I like omelette. Anything raw for that matter. I'm not a fan of raw vegetables either. Steamed is better. No, not al dente, thank you. I'm not that posh.
Let's talk about credit scores. Wait, don't scroll. This is important. A credit score is basically a rating that banks and financial institutions assign to you to determine how responsible you are with money. Like, do you pay your bills on time?
While the context for that is a credit score improvement for younger people to be able to better be rewarded for paying their bills on time, some believe that the video that Trudeau has tweeted out with the full context of that, there's more, I'm not going to play it, don't worry, is actually a prelude to him introducing a social credit score into Canada-China. To the next honourable mention, we have a Christian head teacher called Joshua Sutcliffe, who is currently pursuing an appeal against a May 2023 prohibition order issued after he was found guilty of unacceptable professional conduct while working at the Sharewell School in Oxford between 2015 and 2018. At a hearing in London, his lawyers have argued against the decision to ban him because of unjustified interference, was unsafe and included perverse findings. The reason why is because a teaching regulation agency panel concluded last year that he did not treat a transgender student with dignity and respect by failing to use their preferred pronoun in class while appearing on ITVs this morning. It also found that he failed to safeguard pupils' well-being when saying God had stopped a person from being gay because it was wrong and deemed him unprofessional for sharing his religious beliefs in class. With all these heinous crimes he's accused of, what was the thing that got him fired the most though? The thing that really sealed the deal? Back in 2017, he was sacked from the school, a state secondary in Oxford, after praising a group of students during a maths lesson by saying, "Well done, girls." This is going to a high court because of infringed freedom of speech and religion. Updates will undoubtedly follow this one in the future because this is bull.
Listen, I'll up the number, okay? 30K to anyone who'll make this disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both, all right? Because then it's a win-win for me. I get more breast, and I don't have to see that moron on my timeline anymore. So if you think about it.
That is Denims. Denims is not a fan of Asmongold. To be honest, when it comes to certain habits of Asmongold, I'm not a fan either. His lack of hygiene is the big one. That bugs me considering how well he has done for himself. Denims, though, made a joke. Apparently it's just a joke, bruh. Okay, the problem with Denims here is, and a possible claim of that being just a jerk, bruh, is the fact that Ethan Klein managed to pull out a whole number of those bad takes on her part and slew her on H3 TV. She's also another one of those streamers who believes that doing a full-time job IRL is not comparable to that of streaming because streaming is harder, and that post-social exhaustion from streaming is real. I don't know how anyone could do it every day. The post, as you can see here, deleted because those that had this mindset are idiotic. I'll agree that there is a social battery aspect to streaming. It is not remotely comparable to that of working a job that is not on the computer, or in the sphere of social media influencer, content creator, streamer. And the reason it is especially not comparable is because those that complain about social exhaustion, their battery being drained, are typically those that react to other people's content, barely say anything, eat on camera, and do sod all, nothing transformative, and steal other people's copyrighted content, breaching fair use at every opportunity. I mention this exclusively because this is the kind of crap Denims does. I know this because I went to their Twitch channel and their recent broadcasts are all just chatting and all of it reaction content. You're lazy, you son of a bitch. And wishing ill on another person is not only a crime in the country you're in, of the federal variety, it is also a breach of terms of service regardless of the humorous aspect of it being just a joke, bruh. The final thing I want to showcase is an honourable mention, I guess, but a nice way to end the video because it tickles me to no end. PC games. I love everything about Fallout except the games. The Fallout hype train is in the station and I was very much on board until I tried New Vegas again and hated almost every minute of it. Written by Lauren Bergen. From time to time I do revisit games I loved and find they are very different to how I remember them. That is often the case. These games, though, are a part of my development, my history, so I love them. I've never played Fallout, so I can't speak from this experience. If it was Grand Theft Auto, maybe a wrestling game, Assassin's Creed, and Pokemon, I guess, as well, I fully get it. I really do. I understand. Especially when you have a live-action version of a show related to the game you once loved. That's great. It really is. Your title is bait and intentionally framed to basically say, because I bothered to look at your article, the games just aren't what they are in the TV show anymore. Oh, won't be meh. Grow up, you smeghead.